Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Nobody Asked for This podcast with me. How has your week been? I would like AI to crunch some numbers for me and let me know how often I start the podcast with the same 3 sentences. I say, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nobody Asked for This podcast. And then I normally go into, how has your week been? ? And then something else that I just said, but it's usually pretty good. I think I'm a great candidate for getting AI to be me. I think I'm very habitual. I do kind of the same thing over and over. I tell the same jokes over and over. I definitely tell the same type of jokes over and over. Diarrhea jokes, specifically. I wear the same clothes, which I have a story about that, kind of, not really. I wear the same, resting face. I wear the same socks. There are 2 different brands of socks, one on the right foot, one on the left. But I'm pretty much the same. So I really feel like a robot could hang out with me for a couple of days, and they're like, we got it, we got you, and no one would notice that it wasn't me if they could get the physical appearance down. If I could be me but a robot, not have to think, I could go on a mental vacation. I think that would be ideal, perfect, splendid. So if next time you tune into the Nobody Asked for This podcast, which don't worry, I know no one does, it'd be a great opportunity now to take this time to say my weekly reminder that I know that no one listens to this. If you have somehow stumbled upon this by accident, do not worry. I know that there's no one on the other end of this. I have not lost it. I have not gone nuts. But in fact, I've never been clearer, But yeah, I know no one listens to this. I just do this for fun. Anyway, I have right on my feet now, I have one Puma sock and one, obviously if it's from Costco, I don't remember what the brand is, but it's some sort of a Kirkland something or other. I don't actually remember why I started talking, but I'm going to be really honest with you. It's late. It's about 10:30 at night, the day before this comes out, which pretty much tracks in terms of my procrastination across the nation. I'm taking a nice sip of what is called Liquid Death Rest in Peach. It's quite aggressive, if you ask me. It's this sparkling water company that I think has ventured into some sort of an iced tea situation called Liquid Death. It says murder your thirst. And then on the side it says, death to plastic. We donate a portion of the profits from every can sold to help kill plastic pollution. Again, don't even get me started on how we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Not synonyms, homonyms. Can. Every can sold, as in metal can, is also can. You can do it, Bob the Builder. That will never make sense to me. We obviously we're running out of words. Can and can obviously have nothing to do with each other. So what the hell? But my original point being, Liquid Death, why so aggressive? Why do you need to say, rest in peach is the flavor? You can't just say this is peach iced tea. I had another one. It was called severed lime. Why so dramatic? This psychotic can of iced tea will use agave and B vitamins to savagely murder your thirst and turn its insides into balloon animals to book gigs at children's birthday parties. Now, all of this being said, if you or someone you know works on the team at Liquid Death Water Company, please hire me. I think I could do a really good job. Actually, I think that is like my next career move. When I finally understand that, like, this podcast, while it is fun, is not making me financial equity. Once I finally realize that and I have to get a real job, I would like to work at Liquid Death. I would like to write, or really anywhere where I can write, like, not even slogans. Like, I don't really care to write, like, the next Subway, I'm loving it, or whatever. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. What is Subway's slogan? Subway Eat Fresh. That they need a new one. But I don't even need to write, like, the jingle. I just want to write, like, what's on the side of cans, Like, vitamin water, how each vitamin water, there's, like, a little write-up about it. Similar to how on, like, Barbies or My Little Ponies, like, they give the character that you're buying, like, a personality. And it's like, Cindy Lou May likes to frolic around with her pony friends and eat marshmallows or whatever. Like, I would like to do that. I would like to write that sort of copy on, like, either the back of, like, chips. Like, maybe Lay's is hiring and, like, needs to fill up some spots on their marketing team. Like, I would like to do that. So, if anyone knows anyone who can put me into contact, or knows someone who is the contact for any sort of work in that field, I would like to do it. I would also like to work in movie trailers, because I think they're doing it wrong. Anytime I see a movie trailer, I feel like I've seen the whole movie. And let me tell you, they got to be careful, because we're getting to a point now where any like popular video is literally like 4.5 seconds. And if it's anything more than that, like, I swipe. I just keep swiping. And I'm not even really on TikTok. I have fallen victim to YouTube Shorts, which is like the YouTube version of TikTok. You need the YouTube app, which I do not proudly. I'm a member of YouTube, the app or whatever. I downloaded the YouTube app, and there's a little tab at the bottom, and I believe it's called Shorts, and it's basically TikToks. From what I've heard, speaking to friends of mine, it's TikToks that were popular like 6 months to 3 years ago, anywhere kind of in that time range. It's similar to how, like, the fashion in Europe is like 3 years ahead of us being North America. So I'm on, like, 2021 TikTok just via YouTube Shorts. But my point in saying any of this is we are at a point where our collective attention spans, are so short that, like, we just want things faster and faster. And movie trailers are getting to a point where you could literally, like, you're watching the whole movie. They're like 3 minutes long. They tell you everything. They tell you beginning, middle, and end. There's no mystery anymore. There's no excitement. What happened to mystery? What happened to not knowing everything? I don't know. Something's going on. So if anyone from the trailer community wants to, invite me to your next kind of business meeting, board meeting. I don't know if it's like a separate company that makes these trailers, if it's a trailer like company, or if it's just the people from the movie. I have to talk to anyone that will listen to me about this. Like, you need to stop making trailers tell you the whole movie. Because we're getting to a point where people will just watch the trailers and not watch the movie. And then no one's making money. Also, just quick side note, semi-related side note, which actually should be the new title of this podcast. Because it's always like, anything I go on a tangent on is like, well, first of all, the whole thing's a tangent, because I don't actually have things that I need or want to specifically talk about. I just kind of want to hear my own voice. So thank you for kind of coming along for this journey. The zero of you that are. But my tangents, that we'll call them, like, they kind of make sense. They stem off as something. I just have to get a little bit better at, like, landing the plane before I take off on another one. Like, sometimes I just get so excited that I thought of something else to talk about that I forget that I was mid-thought on something else, like I'm doing right now. But to close the loop on the semi-related side note, trailer is a word that has several different meanings. Trailer can be, as we were talking about, the thing in a movie. Trailer can also be something that you see in the movie RV. Like the motorhome type trailer. Which RV is a stunning movie. If you haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend. It's like family friendly. There's like a diarrhea component. There is, I think they go to Walmart at one point. Like there's just everything in it. Like if you want something from a movie, it's in the movie RV. And I can gladly say it has passed the Rewatch Test. The Rewatch Test being something that you loved watching as a kid, you watch again with a little bit of time under your belt and still enjoy. Now, I'm at the point now where it's like 50-50. Sometimes you watch a movie that you liked when you were a kid, and it's great. Freaky Friday being an example. It's better even. And then sometimes you watch a movie that you watched as a kid and realize that it's like creepy. Cat in the Hat. I loved the movie, the live action Cat in the Hat from about, I don't know, probably like 2003. Loved it. I was a huge fan. I watched it all the time. I could like basically recite it for you at one moment in time when I was younger. And then I watched it again like semi-recently, and I was like, this is gross. Like, this is terrible. It's creepy. The cat was like, I doubt he went to babysitting school, had any sort of like first aid training. Terrible. He turned their house into spoiler alert, he turned their house into like some sort of like weird underground, like funky, there was like purple slime. They were kind of ahead of their time on that. Like now everyone's making slime with borax. I'll give them that. But like there was like thing 1 and thing 2. I just feel like there was like metaphors and hidden messages going on. And luckily, when I was a kid watching it, I was very dumb. So I'm not scared that like anything seeped in. And I'm obviously pretty like extremely well adjusted now and like totally fine. So, no harm, no foul for me. But I'm scared that not everyone can say the same. But again, I can confirm that the movie RV did pass the Rewatch Test. Diarrhea scene and all. Speaking of diarrhea scene, I sat in this very location, on this very microphone, aka voice notes app of my phone, last week, and talked, did I talk about? Okay, basically, I used to do, and by used to, I mean, for the first 2 or 3 episodes of this podcast, I did a segment called Gupdate. Now, Gupdate was the weekly segment where I was going to talk about the updates that happened in my gut, meaning like if I had diarrhea that week, or if I had a near miss or anything like that. Now, the reason that I stopped doing that segment was because I kind of got like self-conscious, which I don't normally get. And I was like, do I really need to be telling the internet about, every time I like go to the bathroom? Which leads to the second point of why I stopped, which is I can't put that much pressure on my gut to, do something noteworthy every time. So like by the end, I was literally talking about like just like minute details. And while I am the face and the main lobbyer for, making, ending the stigma behind talking about your poo in public, even I was like, okay, this is a little bit much. Like, there's no story here. And I just felt like I was, instead of adding to the conversation, I was diluting the conversation, the global conversation around poo. So I decided to, take it out as a weekly segment and then just kind of let whatever happened. And if there was a week where I had a story that was Gupdate worthy, then I would tell it. And if there wasn't, I wasn't. So I don't often do this, but just last week, I was talking, I don't know if this ever got verbalized, but I was definitely thinking like, man, I haven't had a Gupdate in a while as I was recording last week's episode. Luckily, no one listened to it, so I can just tell you whatever I said. I can say I said this, and then you'll just believe me. So let's pretend that I said, that I hadn't done a Gupdate in a while. Well, the fates heard me, because mere hours after I clicked stop recording on my voice memo app, did I get a Gupdate. So it was probably like 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, PST. And I started feeling like a grumble in my tummy. And what is important to note is that earlier that day, I felt like a grumble in the stomach. But I was like, you know what, whatever, it's fine. And then later on, I was making some macaroni and cheese. And I was using half and half, like cream. And I saw it, and I thought, oh, this expires today. We're all good. Now, what I didn't know was that the cream expired on July 4th, and the day that I was using it was July 5th. I thought it was July 4th. I never know what end is up. Now, I'm not blaming the maybe 12-hour expired half and half on what happened, and I'm especially not blaming it on what happened because I was having gut issues earlier in the day. Nothing that had come to fruition, but I was feeling rumbles. It was light contractions. It was the I don't know what it's called, but a week before someone goes into labor, they start feeling it just a little bit. It's their body getting ready. That's what was happening to me. So if I hadn't been feeling that, I might have come on here today and said that it was the 12-hour expired half and half cream that I used in my mac and cheese, which was the reason for what is about to happen, what I'm about to tell you happened. But I don't really know. And also, I highly doubt that a jar of milk is able to tell when it's, when the cock crows and it's a day later than it was. You can go a day or two after an expiration date, and I think you'll be fine. But anyway, yeah, we're at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'm like, oh, the grumbling is back. And I go to the washroom, and, it happened. Kind of liquidy. And here's the thing. This is my stance on diarrhea. Diarrhea is very much like a lot of things in life. It is a gift if you're in the right place at the right time, if you're prepared, if you have your headphones nearby, if you maybe have a book, you have a Kindle, newspaper if you're old-fashioned, if you're really ready to have the experience, it is a nice cleansing. You feel good after. It's really not as bad as everyone talks about it being, because everyone's talking about their diarrhea all the time. It's not so bad. And the first time, not to tease anything, but the first time, the 8:30 p.m. incident, I was in the right place to receive it. I had the necessary distractions. I had the necessary, time, equipment, all of that. So by no means is it a pleasant experience in the moment. It's like working out. You don't want to do it. You don't like it doing it. But then after, you're like, okay, I feel better. So I will spare the details and just say that afterwards I felt better. Then I had to go somewhere. I got in the car. I drove. I arrived at the location. And as I was walking to the car, before I arrived, leaving after I just, to the 8:30 incident, I felt fine. But then I started walking to my car, and I was like, oh, uh-oh. I started, because sometimes if you're walking or if you're speed walking or especially running, everything, your system kind of jolts a little bit, and then stuff starts moving. And I was like, oh no. But I was far enough from my house that I'm like, I'm not going to turn around and go to the bathroom. I'll be fine. Because it was nothing instant. It was nothing major. So I'm doing the drive. It's about a 20-minute drive. And at points, I'm like, oh, this, I kind of have to go to the bathroom. Never anything that I would call a close call, per se. But I was like, okay, this definitely hasn't gone away. So I get to where I need to be. And then finally, of course, now that I'm somewhere near some sort of a toilet, I'm like, oh, I feel fine. So I'm sitting down in my car. for a few minutes. And I'm like, you know what? Like, there's a bathroom inside. Like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to go and I'll feel better for the drive home. I get out of the car and I didn't realize how bad I had to go until I was standing up, which I think makes sense. You know, you're like, everything starts flowing. And then also in my head, knowing like I'm about to be in the bathroom, I was like, I think my body was like, we're good. You know how you don't have to like go to the washroom until you like turn onto your street and then you're like, oh, or like you open the door and you're like, oh, I didn't realize how bad I had to go. It was kind of like that happening. Like I knew a bathroom was on my way. So I'm going to be completely honest. Like as I'm walking to the front door, like I had to start clenching and I was like, oh shoot. I walk up to the door. It's an automatic door, so I'm like, perfect. I don't have to touch anything. Like, I forgot my hand sanitizer. Like, I'm, you know, it's summer, obviously, so I wasn't wearing a hoodie. Like, I would have had to, like, bare skin to door handle and then had to try to figure that whole situation out. I was like, perfect. It's the door's automatic. We'll be good. I walk up, the door doesn't freaking open. And as I said, I was clenched. So I'm like, oh no. I've told my mind, you know, there's a toilet nearby. I was ready to use the facilities only to find that the facilities are not available to me. So I'm like, oh, literally. So I was like, I was ready to, this is kind of gross. I was ready to release and I couldn't get into the building. And I was just like, oh my God, like, what do I do? I felt helpless. I was like, what do I do? And this is all, like, for me, it was happening in slow motion, but this was all, like, within, like, 30 seconds of when I decided, like, I'm going to do it. So I'm like, what do I do? So I start waddling back to my car because, like, what else am I supposed to do? And I was so nervous because I had just bought like $15 shorts from Old Navy. And I was like, I'm going to ruin my shorts. Like, what do I do? And I honestly, in that moment, I closed my eyes and I prayed. I said, please, can we switch this number 2 to a number 1? Like, number 1, we can figure that out. Like, I'm not worried about that. Number 2 is where we lose $15 worth of merchandise. Like, I was just like, this can't be happening to me. Luckily, whatever the building that I was at needs new security because they forgot to lock one of the doors. So I was able to get in. So I was like, phew, like maybe there is hope. Because I was in the process of not only losing hope, but like admitting defeat. So I was like, let me just try this one kind of back entrance. And it worked. And I was like, thank goodness. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. I go to the washroom and I see the dreaded sign, closed for cleaning. And I see it as I'm walking up. I'm like, no, this can't be happening. And then I realize it's not happening because it's the other bathroom. So I'm like, oh, perfect. The men's washroom is open. Perfect. So I go in. It's an automatic light, and the light was not turning on. So I was like, what? Like, I assumed it was an automatic light. And it's not like, it wasn't like a single stall. It was like a multi-stall, like, washroom. I walk in, it's pitch black. I'm like, okay, like, I'll just turn the light on. Because you know how most places where even if it is a automatic light, like, there is a button. There's, like, a switch there. So I'm like, okay, that's okay. Let me just turn on the switch. I click the button, nothing. And again, I'm clenched. I'm not like I figured out the situation because let me tell you, when I was in the parking lot after the door didn't open the first time, I was like, I thought that was the end for me. So I was like extremely clenched, but it was almost a point. It's like, I don't even need to be clenched. Like, we're done for, but we weren't done for, thankfully. So I'm in the washroom with the no light and I'm like, do I just like put my phone light on? Like, do I just try and figure this out? And I was like, okay, like I was at a point where like my contractions had stopped, but I was still in labor, if we're going to use that metaphor. Not that I'm comparing labor to diarrhea pains. Like, I know it's not the same as, like, bringing life into the world, but just if we're going to go with that symbolism, I knew I had like a couple minutes before the next one. So I like ran to the other side of the building. And by ran, I mean like more waddled to the other side of the building, which is kind of my natural run anyway. And I found a bathroom that with a working light. I checked there was toilet paper, and I'm going to be honest, it was probably the dirtiest bathroom I'd ever been in. But at that point, like, I didn't care. I was only adding to the mess. And I was able to go. Now the problem with that bathroom is it was a single stall bathroom. So, and it was at night, and when it happened. So there was like the cleaning crew. And when I walked out, there was a button that to like unlock the door, and I mistook that button for like the door button. So I accidentally clicked like the open door button, like the automatic door opener, and the exit button. So when I was leaving the restroom after relieving myself, I had accidentally opened the whole door, and what I am assuming was not the best smell, kind of trickled out of the washroom. So if anyone was in that building at that time, I really do apologize. I won't go into detail as to what building. But yeah, I walked out with the whole door open, the smell coming out, and there was this very nice staff, cleaning the area. And I really apologize if they had yet to clean that washroom that night, because that means that they had to, come face to face with, something that I thought was almost about to be, released in the parking lot. But anyway, I didn't mean for this story to be essentially the whole episode. I am ashamed of myself. If I had any better material, actually I do. I had a couple things that I really wanted to talk about. But I feel like I just need to kind of leave this episode as it is with the grossness. And if people kind of want to opt into that, go for it. If not, we can opt out. And I can just catch you next week. So while we're in the neighborhood, I'm trying to think. Oh, I had another harrowing incident this week with my gut situation. I had what is called an Olipop, which is a brand of, like, for whatever reason, there's this new wave of like sodas that are like not kombucha, but like they're trying to be pop, that they're branded as being good for your gut health, but I'm not sure if the point of them is to be medicinal or if they're trying to be like a rebranded, healthier version of like a Diet Coke. I don't really know, but it was called Olipop. And about 2 weeks ago, I bought them at Target, and for whatever reason, they just kind of like, I just never drank them, kind of like put them in the drawer and forgot about them. And then the other day I was like, oh, my Olipop, let's drink it. I was too lazy to put it in the fridge for a couple hours, and was scared that if I put it in the freezer for 20 minutes, I would forget it for 3 hours, and then it would be like frozen solid or like explode or something. So I just ran it under the tap, because again, it was like shoved away somewhere. It was not in the refrigerator. So I just kind of ran it under the cold water tap, which that is a life hack. It'll at least get your stuff cold-ish. And I drank it. And the taste was good. It didn't taste weird. I'd maybe taken a couple sips. And I put it on my desk. And then I looked and I said, oh no, it says keep refrigerated. Again, it was put away in a drawer for 2 weeks. So I was like, oh my gosh, this thing that was supposed to cure my gut flora, my microbiome, and my Gupdates is now going to be the thing that like ends it all. Because it was not kept refrigerated. But luckily, there was no consequences to those actions. I was going to Google, like, do you need to refrigerate this soda? But I was scared that they were going to tell me yes, because there was truly, like, nothing I could do at that point. Like, my bed was made. You know? My days were either numbered or they weren't. Luckily, I again, nothing happened. So yet, I don't know, maybe it's a delayed response. But yeah, life hack. You don't actually... I'm not going to say that. They might sue me. You should put it in the fridge. If it says put it in the fridge, put it in the fridge. Also, apparently there's this debate about whether or not you put ketchup in the fridge. People are nuts. Put your stuff in the fridge. Put your butter in the fridge. Put your ketchup in the fridge. I mean, at the end of the day, do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. But, like, also, if you need room temperature cream cheese for a recipe, I'm suspicious of that too. Like, look, what are we doing here? Keep your stuff in the fridge. We, are lucky enough to be in a time where, obviously not everyone, but a lot of people have at least some sort of, like, refrigeration source in their house. Like, let's just use that. I think, like, yeah, is it nice to have nice soft butter? Sure. But is it also nice to not, like, be on the toilet? Kind of. Is it also nice enough to worry about, like, if the Olipop you just drank is going to, come back and, like, undo everything it did because you didn't follow the rules and left it in your drawer for 2 weeks? Like, that's not fun. It's not. I've been there, done that. And making the t-shirt on Etsy, like, it's tough, Life's hard enough. You don't have to make it harder. Put your stuff in the fridge. Listen, even things that aren't supposed to go in the fridge, I put in the fridge just in case. I fully have, like, cans of Cheese Whiz in there. That's not even food. That is not even food. Actually, yeah, maybe the only thing that I'll say don't put in the fridge is cheese in a can. Canned cheese. I've tried that. It says you don't have to, but I was like, listen, this is cheese. I'm putting it in the fridge. But then the top gets crusty, so you kind of have to, like, press a little bit of it out to, like, get to the non-crusty part. And by crusty, I mean, like, I guess it's, like, the part that, when you have, like, even, like, a can of whipped cream, like, sometimes there's some still in the nozzle, but, like, that hasn't fully come out yet. That part would kind of harden in the refrigerator. But everything else, just put it in the fridge. If you're not sure, put it in the fridge. Okay? The fridges are the key to everything. Anyway, I feel like I have, like, 4 more things to talk about, which I think is the perfect time to wrap it up. Because I'm gonna write this stuff down. Don't worry. I hate to leave you on a cliffhanger, but I'm going to. Because I think I've talked a lot of just nonsense. So I'm gonna acknowledge the nonsense. And move on and hope that, we have a more productive episode next week. So I'm going to thank you for listening. I really do. If anyone did listen to this, like, thank you. If you didn't, what you going to do? I hope you all have a great week. I hope you have a great summer, a great middle of July. We made it. The only thing better will be the beginning of August. And I will see you next week. Oh, make sure to go to podcastnobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. That's podcast nobodyaskforthis.podbean.com. Podbean, Podbean. On there, you'll see all our links to where you can listen to us, Apple, Spotify, wherever and whatever. You can also follow us on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, hopefully YouTube Shorts one day. And yeah, take care. We'll see you next week.